Welcome to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, we are back from the first hour break with the news, and what I like to discuss first is, okay, yes, there is a lot of controversy in the medical and a lot of effort to really cover up what is going on and the effect of our method of treating any disease. And they, in my opinion, can come up with some ridiculous statements that they claim are supported by research. Research that is something they've done without you participating or knowing what was going on, and the conclusion drawn, they're just given to you as facts without any other kind of evidence. These are the statistics because we did this, and these are the results, and they're valid because we say so. That's basically what the research reports are nowadays. And some of them really look really ridiculous. This week, you know, it's always that way. One day they tell you this is good for you and this is bad for you, and then they, years later, they turn it around and say, no, actually that was good for you, but it's the other one that was bad. And we thought it was good, but it's actually bad for you. And that happens all the time. And people think that's a joke. No, it isn't. It's happening. And all of you know the campaign against smoking. This is something that has been going on for years. It's actually ruining the business of the tobacco company. And I'm not crying for that because I could not stand. I am really I'm a person that cannot stand secondary smoke. Even secondary. Forget smoking, just secondary smoke. And you know that, Randy, because it bothers me too.
Yeah, I know.
So, you know, and then they have this commercial that show how bad it is, people that have a hole on their throat and all sorts of a really scary picture. The latest one they have advertising on TV is actually somebody that is not even some person that was a smoker. They claim it was a smoker, and this is just an effect of smoking. But actually, that's a cancer patient. You can see as skinny as a mummy, and it's just all wrinkled, and it's just a mess. And that's a cancer patient. Pale, it's just a disaster. That's a cancer patient. And I think that a year or so ago, there was this guy that was showing that both legs amputated. And they say, I think they were claiming it was from smoking. I'm not sure how they justify that. But they say, see what happens? Well, what happens is the person depicted in that picture started hollering because it was an actor that was played, that his picture was taken for some kind of an ad. He wasn't even sure what kind of an ad. And he had a fit because he wasn't missing any legs. Okay? It was a special effect. So the story they throw at you are just farces to support a certain agenda, a certain plan. Well, this week there was comments on a report, a scientific study done by physician, and I really can't remember where, but it was probably from Life Extension. I'm not really sure though. And what they're saying, the conclusion of this study is that smoking prevents people from getting Alzheimer's. See that, Randy? You are in good shape.
What'd you say? Who are you? Who the hell are you? What am I doing here?
I mean,
God dang it! Where am I?
You cannot smoke, and you cannot breathe when you smoke. Then you have lungs problem, but you won't get Alzheimer's. And even secondary smoke can do that. Stop you from getting Alzheimer's. This is the conclusion of the study. And they don't know why, but this is, and they need more research to figure out why. And I have your answer right there, hitting you in the eye. Smokers do not go for regular checkup. Do not go to see a doctor regularly.
They get tired of that. Hey, you need to stop smoking.
Right. They get sick and tired of that. Okay? So they avoid the whole issue by not going to see a doctor. What happens when you don't go see your family doctor, a GP? You don't get checkup. You don't get preventive medication. You're not taking any drugs because you're not seeing the doctor that will prescribe them to you. So what happens? You do not get Alzheimer's because all the medication and the garbage they give you for whatever reason out there, they all can penetrate the brain barrier. They go all damage the brain. That's why people that smoke, you don't need to do years and years of research. You don't need to spend a lot of money trying to figure out why. The answer is so obvious. You are not getting Alzheimer's because you're not taking all those drugs. And I know that people, even with minor problem, if any, are pumped with all sorts of drugs without even checking if there are contradictions between one to the other, as you know very well know. Randy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
I tell you, I know, not that I've ever smoked around the kids, but I learned the hard way. I mean, when you take one of the kids in to see the doctor and you're a smoker, you better wash up good and spray yourself down with.
So they won't smell it.
I'm serious. They even smell it on you. They're gonna have something to say.
Oh, they smell it. It's very easy to smell. If you're not a smoker, you're very easy to smell the smoke. What bothers me is in many cases the doctor is a smoker and is overweight and it tells you that you need to be on diet and not smoke. And I don't know if you find that disgusting or
hypocritical.
Just yeah. So now research has decided that smoking is good for you because it keeps you from getting Alzheimer's. And because Alzheimer's obviously is caused by what? We don't know what it's caused. Yes, we do. And the explanation, as I said, is there. You want to take it? Fine. You don't want to take it. I still think you shouldn't be smoking. Not that anybody listens to me, but it's a nasty, smelly habit, and it's really not that good for you. It's not what they pick, but it's not good for you. Alzheimer's, stay away from drugs, and you'll be okay. You won't get Alzheimer's. And I see it every day. The moment they start being pumped with drugs, that's it. It's over. They get sick, and they end up getting Alzheimer's. It's just no escaping. It's pretty disgusting. And now, get this. Just to tell you how much the freedom of an individual is taken away. The medical guidelines are that everybody that goes to see their GP should be tested. All of them, not just one is suspicious or not. All of them should be tested for problem with excessive smoking. Excessive drinking. Okay? Everybody should be tested for excessive drinking. Why?
Well, that depends on what you mean by excessive.
Well, okay, I can tell you also what they mean by excessive. They said that anybody that takes 5 drinks a day or more, has a problem. For men. Women is 4 a day. Okay? Well, it all depends. In my opinion.
If I drank if I had 5 drinks a day, I'd be I'd be pretty sloshed.
Well, first of all, I have a problem with the word drink. Drink is the act of picking up a glass and drinking some fluid. Okay? That could be anything, in my opinion. Drinking, saying that drinking only means drinking alcohol, it's ridiculous.
Well, that guy in Airplane had a drinking problem, you know.
Yeah. That was another one. I don't know if it was tested. But, the thing is, 5 drinks a day, that's pretty heavy. Unless it's wine, even 5. If you're doing it during the meal, it's a minor problem, but You shouldn't drink that much. But what I have a problem with is the fact that there should be a guideline that everybody should be tested for it. That's ridiculous. That's really... And you can tell after a while if a person is drinking too much. The nose will tell you. So having everybody being tested, I just have a problem with all of this. People tested for everything under the sun. It's just another form of freedom and control. Just disgusting. Well, that they come up with this thing. When I hear everybody should be tested for, that's it. That's when they lose me.
Well,
I mean, what do you mean?
Look at the new psychiatric guidelines. I mean, every one of us,
that's the one.
especially everybody listening to this radio station, Orion Talk Radio, news and views beyond the mainstream. I forgot to say that. Everybody listening to this radio station would qualify for one of their psychiatric disorders. You know, what is it? Conspiracy delusional disorder?
Yeah, right.
Or something like that.
Actually, even your kids playing video game all the time, they have a problem, psychological problem. That's what the new guideline, what is called. I thought I discussed it last week, but if I didn't, I'm sorry. Again, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, edition number 5. That's the one that is causing a lot of problem even within the health industry, and some psychiatrists that totally, the NIMH, mental health, is totally against the DSM-5. So, and a lot of members are against the DSM-5. And that's the one that, obviously, if you're grieving because a loved person died, and then you need to be treated because you have a mental problem. And it's the same with, games, video games, and all sorts of normal life are a mental problem. That's just ridiculous. That's another way to keep you prisoner, to keep you stuck, that you do not have any freedom. You cannot go anywhere without being controlled. That's what I mean.
My stepson seems to think that my lack of interest in video games is a mental disorder.
Well, that's his biased view, okay? I don't like video games because I find them nerve-wracking, okay? And after a full day of problems and work and all sorts of things, I think I don't need that. And in fact, it's true because he's not accomplishing anything other than playing video games. So I think that's... Okay. Now, there is really an effort to show that drugs are not the origin of all the problem we have today. And of course, it's happening everywhere. But I read something that is really, that I'm sure you're aware, because we talked about a lot about the autism issue. And of course, the people insisting that it's caused by vaccination. Actually, it's not the vaccination in itself. What it is the additive in the vaccine. But there are some people that throw that together into one thing and then say the vaccine is bad. No, the vaccine and the theory of the vaccine is correct. Of course, some alternative are actually saying that the theory of the vaccine is bad. That's because they can't handle theory very well. But the theory of the vaccine is correct. The implementation is wrong because it's based on profit of pharmaceutical company. It's based on increasing the shelf life. So it's more profit to the pharmaceutical. And how do you increase the shelf life? We discussed this already, is the preservatives and also the emulsifier put into it to make it look okay and appear to be okay, extend the shelf life. And those are the one thing that cause problems. And because I think the main cause of autism is actually are the emulsifier, because they break up the cellular structure. And when kids are really young, you break up the cellular structure, they can destroy the brain. Not to mention the fact that the other thing I have against is they have too, and some doctors have mentioned that, agreeing with what I've been saying, that they give too many vaccines all at once. So I remember I was scandalized when I took my daughter, it was at Army Hospital, and she was really a baby, a few months old, and they gave her all these vaccines all at once. Are you crazy? course, being the military, a wife of a military man has no rights. She cannot say anything. And the military guy doesn't say anything because that's part of the establishment and the training is in. But I did. And of course, I was always in trouble. But anyway, so they're trying.
Try not to laugh.
I know. It's just the way my life has been. I see something wrong and I get vocal and then I get jumped on. But so you remember that doctor in England that was disbarred because he said he did research and they tried to totally destroy everything that he did, all the research he did. And that probably was the only research that was valid with the research that is out there nowadays. They disbarred him saying that he was dishonest and he did improper testing and it was wrong. And ever since, it's been a concerted effort to prove the vaccine is safe. Okay? There's no problem with the vaccine, and people are not really being convinced of that. So what's the next step? Trying to find another cause for autism. Okay? And apparently they have found it. Because what a research, I think, a study talking about losing tracks and trying to appear not connected to the American drug companies, which they could still be. Okay. An inflammation that is present in the maternal serum during gestation, that happens in the first semester or the early time of the second semester, that is the cause and a connection to autism. That's what this research said. Inflammation. Inflammation present in the maternal serum, I don't know. And why would they? Yeah, anyway. See, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to distract the attention and get away from the idea that it could be something that we give the kids. And in most cases, you're not giving drug to the kids, but you're giving them a lot of vaccination. So they are trying to work on getting you bamboozle as usual. Misinformation. Give you data that is completely out on the outfield to distract you from the issue at hand that they want you to forget. Forget the vaccines. It's a problem. People are losing interest in vaccine, and there is in the Medscape, they were discussing that too. Oh, it's the public is really not interested. It's losing more and more interest in vaccine. They don't want the kids to be vaccinated. Yeah, I wonder why. Okay? And as I said, it's not the theory of the vaccine, it's the additives to it. So what do? We have to do something to distract them and let them think that autism is caused by other reasons, not the vaccine. See how everything is a propaganda, everything is a lie, everything is misinformation put out there with the appearance that is coming from valid sources, so you will buy it. That's all it is. Nothing else, because the drug industry must continue. The drug industry must flourish. The drug industry must go on. It doesn't matter what drugs do to you, that industry must continue. It's big money, and you cannot put an end to it. Okay? That's the sad part of what is going on, and I don't know. And even not just the drugs, also the procedure that they use in the medical. They said, it's a pretty ordinary procedure doing the removing your system of eliminating waste fluid and give you a bag and all of that nice, yeah. Well, it's pretty common. As it seems to me like they're doing at the drop of a hat, whether it's really necessary or not. Okay? And of course, that has been a big money-making operation too. Doesn't matter the discomfort that it causes to people, and they use it even for just a temporary, that's a temporary thing, but the temporary thing is not, it's inconvenient, but it's not as damaging as a permanent one. But what they are saying now that they have noticed in the statistics that they gather, the hospital admission for the rise in urinary catheter problems is increasing tremendously, has increased tremendously in recent times. And
I think every ailment has increased tremendously because the
way things are handled.
Yeah, the way they maximize every diagnosis. I mean,
but the urinary catheters are. I always thought they were a problem, and in fact, they're saying that the septicemia, which is a serious infection, is on the rise. And they say not just the infection are on the rise, also complication from this catheter. And one of this is fluid problem and electrolyte disorder, fluid disorder and electrolyte disorder. So what they mean by electrolyte disorder is probably dropping the electrolyte that you need. And also hypertension. Oh, gee, that's high blood pressure. That's wonderful. Okay? These are things, and they use those diversion of the waste fluid. They use it, I call it diversion, just to try to be nice about it. They use it at a drop of a hat, but you know what the problem is? Also, they have been trying to save money. And the two don't go together because you have to change the bag in the system pretty often, and it's expensive anyway when they have to spend money. Okay, we got the break. I'll continue after. Okay? We'll be back.
Real alternative radio. We are OrionTalkRadio.com.
Doctor, ain't there nothing I can take? I said, doctor, don't believe this bellyache. Now let me get this straight. Put the lime in the coconut, you drank bold up.
You're listening to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.
Drank bold up. Put the lime in the coconut, you called the doctor, woke him up, said, doctor, ain't there nothing I can take? I said,
okay, we're back from the break, and I'm not sure what we were discussing other than all the blunder that the medical. But one of the big things today was, I think, FDA, a new drug. FDA approves a new drug. It's called Nymalize. Okay. I guess that's how they pronounce it. Nymalize. Nymalize, I think. But anyway, so it's written everywhere that it's been approved. FDA has approved these drugs. Now,
better than Nimelimumab.
Yeah, it's not a Mumab because it's not about cancer. And I will get to that in a minute. But this drug has been approved, and all you can find is it's been approved. Yep, hooray, FDA has approved it. What is it for? Well, you can, with a little bit of effort, find out that it's about brain, to control brain hemorrhage. But, you know, basically spilling blood in the brain, bleeding in the brain. It's supposed to control that. There are no other indication. There is no data on, not even information on what kind of testing they did. There is no information if there are any contradiction to it, because you probably don't know. That's how they do the testing. But FDA is approved, and it's big thing going on. FDA has approved it. Okay, so is that supposed to be gospel, and is that supposed to be great? Because I have too many examples are telling you that it isn't. But it's big hooray because it's big money to FDA, and it's big money to the, they said this drug approved. That's what it is. That's what the big celebration is about. That's what the celebration is for anything. And as I think I mentioned it last week, but I didn't think, if I didn't, I'm going to go back to it, that The FDA was saying that is watching on the watch list that there are 2 drugs that contain acetaminophen, and acetaminophen all of a sudden is something to watch. And they are for different one has on the watch list because it can cause a severe skin reaction. And severe skin reaction means that the rash and the skin problem you're getting can be deadly, okay? And with acetaminophen, this drug containing acetaminophen. And this other one, the severe skin reaction, the other one instead has what? Can cause fall in arterial blood pressure. Okay, and I think I discussed that last week. But my complaint is they put them on the watch list. What it means, you're not supposed to stop taking them. We approve them. It's okay. Don't stop taking them. Just watch it. We are watching. Actually, you don't watch it. You talk to your doctor, and our doctor report it to us, and we watch it, not you. You keep taking it and follow what the doctor says. See, that's it. And then they approve drugs, and they're not saying the potential danger. They're not saying anything. It's approved, so it's okay. But you can take it. The doctor can prescribe it. Do we know anything about it? No, because most of them have even been tested. They don't have any side effects because they don't know what the side effects are. That's the sad part about it.
Great.
In most cases, they don't know what the side effects are. And people that get them firsthand and get described by the doctor, those are guinea pigs. Even though those are the clinical trial, even though they don't tell you that, oh, we have done this and that, and FDA is approved it, but actually you're the clinical trial. The people that start using it are the clinical trial, and those are, especially if they're on Medicare. And, speaking of Medicare, as you know, the spending in medical care has gotten ridiculous, really high, and Medicare is trying to save money. So what they're doing is reducing some. Nothing major, let me tell you. But they're reducing what they're paying for treatment. And guess what? You could guess it yourself. Which one is the hardest hit? Oncology, of course, because oncology is the biggest offender. And so the report states, and this is really funny, that the cuts to Medicare are beginning to have significant impact on cancer care. They had an impact on cancer care. Just 1 month, I know it's funny, just 1 month after the across-the-board federal budget cuts went into effect. This is actually published, okay? This statement is published by Medscape.com, okay? The significant impact because of Medicare cuts. Now, let me tell you something. It's listed in this article, but I really like to underline it and stress it out. This is a survey run by the American Society of Clinical Oncology. ASCO, American Society of Clinical Oncology. There has been a 2% cut to Medicare chemotherapy drug reimbursement under sequestration. You know what that means? That the patient is not going home, he's staying in the clinic or hospital and is given chemo. Okay? All right, let me say something. And this cut by Medicare, okay, means that some organizations are no longer able to see Medicare patients. Okay, let me ask you something. Did you hear what I said? Did you write it down? 2% cuts to Medicare chemotherapy drug reimbursement. 2%. Huh?
That's not much.
That's ridiculous. What is that? They charge $24,000 to $30,000 per injection. Get a 2% cut. What the heck is that? Nothing. $1,200. 2%. And with that cut, the 2% cut, they can no longer see Medicare patient. See, what they're saying is the cut makes so much difference that some facility either turn down Medicare patient or send them to the hospital. They cannot treat them in their clinic, in their infusion centers, what they call. They're not, I guess they're not going to be, and they send them to receive chemotherapy in a hospital that have outpatient infusion center, which means that they're not going to be sequestered anymore, is save money. You know, they're not going to give up the business. So what they're doing is they're not taking Medicare patients. So if a Medicare patient wants to go there, they have to pay cash. Okay, and keep in mind that they're still paying 20% copay, but the 2% cut by Medicare is killing them, and they cannot continue operating. Okay, let me get you this. This is 80% overpriced, because I remember, and I don't believe this has changed at all over the years, but about before I left Arkansas, the last year I was in Arkansas, operating in Arkansas, there was an article on the Little Rock paper, but it was from the Associated Press. And what the article was stating was that oncologists that used the chemotherapy, and of course all oncologists use chemotherapy, so they were getting an 80% discount, 80, not 8, 80% discount on the drugs they were giving to their patient. That means that they were making only 20% of the regular price. And also that means that the doctor could make 80% because the copay is 20%. So they get that money from the copay, and then whatever the insurance company pay, they pocket. Okay? So if they're taking 80%, so what's a 2% cut? Nothing. That's just greed. Mm-hmm. Oh, we cannot do it. We cannot afford to do it. But Les Medin was charging an outrageous amount of money, in their opinion. They were telling the patient that we were charging an outrageous amount of money for our treatment. That was less than the copay for one injection, or down the line of that, for one injection, not 6 months of chemo, which is the minimum you can get. So think about it. Now they're hollering and screaming because Medicare payment have been reduced by 2%. I mean, are we kidding here? Are we making a farce? Are we taking people for a ride? Who is to read that and give any credit to the medical establishment and what they're saying? I can see that happening. The reduction is 2% and you're out of business with that. So your revenue is only 20% of the cost? 2% of the cost? They get 80% discount, so, and they charge the insurance company the full amount. The insurance company pays because the 20 is copay. So what? They get paid. It's all profit. Yep. But the puny Medicare cut, he's ruining them. So they're turning away Medicare patients. And they're sending them to hospitals. Probably MD Anderson. Or Cancer Center of America. Let's not forget Cancer Center of America.
Oh, I can never forget that.
Yeah, and the role they play wherever they are, but Tulsa in particular. I wonder if all these raids are spearheaded by and paid for by the Cancer Center of America. Somebody's paying for those raids.
Well, you know, they bought big ads on the on that topics forum that spent years running your name through the dirt, and mine too.
Yeah, everybody's name.
Of course, I didn't have much of a name to to dirty, but still.
Hey, they were dirtying patients too, saying that they were liars, the one that they were saying they received a good treat. You know? They were throwing dirt at anybody. But demonstrator of picketing abortion clinic and causing doctors to be killed, those are well okay, and their word was gold, right? Oh, yeah. I want to see, though, if those people actually will go for were faced with that of I want to hear if Angelina Jolie is going for preventive chemo. That's one thing I want to hear. First she has had preventive mastectomy. Now she's having preventive ovarian surgery. Her ovary removed. Preventive. So is she going to go for chemo prevention? Yeah. That's another thing. Because the big money is in chemo. Chemo. So, such big money that they don't want to even give up 2%. And I remember when there were discussions, talk about trying to reduce the cost of chemotherapy. Okay? And the comment of the doctors were, okay, I'm sorry I lost my train of thought for a minute there, but I'm not quite sure about what exactly I was criticizing, other than the fact that 2% can change and put them out of business. Okay? Now, think about this. Cancer Center of America, I said that several times. If you want to go there, and I can't see why you would, but if you wanted to go there and they think your insurance is not dependable, they refuse to take your insurance, and then what happens? They want an upfront down payment. Okay? And what is the upfront down payment? $250,000, $250,000 down. That means that's a down payment. That means they expect to make a lot more than that. Now, how people can do it, I have no idea. Now, Andy Anderson and Lisa are more reasonable. They only want $120,000 down if they don't take your insurance. See?
Oh, that's reasonable. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Everybody has that kind of small change. But
that sounds logical.
Unbelievable. But so that means they expect to make a lot more money than that. So 2%, what is that? They lose 2% with the reduction in cost. And reduction in cost of 2% is nothing. It's not going to help the budget. They are 80% overpriced. That's what I was saying. 80% overpriced. Okay? Yeah, that's what they are. And they cannot make it giving up 2%. That, as I said, all it is greed. Nothing else but greed. And of course, the same people, what are they doing?
You know how they'll absorb it? By firing people.
Yeah, they will increase the workload of nurses. Mm-hmm. But what they were saying, I remember now what I was saying. What they were saying was that they couldn't afford to reduce the cost. They needed them 80% markdown from the drug companies because of all the effort that goes into taking care of patients that are on chemo because they get really sick. And it's very expensive to take care of them. That's why they need that profit margin. Okay, let's review what happens. Patient go to see the oncologist. The oncologist, if he thinks that the patient is reluctant and is not willing to go for chemo, then they are capable of spending up to 20 minutes with them, talking them into chemo. Now, if the patient at the end of that talk even said, I don't know, I think I'm going to go another route, and then you're going to see the doctor throwing a hissy fit. It's my way or the highway, and in a huff stepping out of the room, insulted. Okay? like that is going to do any good. But for the patient that are not a problem, they're going to agree anything the doctor say, the doctor spends about 5 minutes in telling them what chemo does. Then the patient starts chemo, the nurses come in, they hook him up. Well, this is after they have had the port put in, which is surgery, so more money. But after they have, I talk to the doctor, they go in for the port, and then they go in for chemo. The nurses hook him up, and they do the port because it's so much easier. It's subject to all sorts of infection, but it's much easier for the nurses. So it's bad for you, but it's easy for the nurses. So they put the port. And by the way, it's $10,000 to put the port in. Yeah. And then they start giving you chemo.
And you get a less infection eventually.
Oh, yeah, you do. But get this. The nurse is working hard. What does she do? She hands you a can of soda and turns on the TV. And she leaves. What happens to you? After that, you throw up, all sorts of things. Nothing. The nurse is not there. And this goes on for the months the doctor schedule you for chemo. At the end of those 6 months, the doctor comes in and says, that didn't work. You need more. Comes in for another 5 minutes and tells you that, and then that's it. You're not seeing him again until you're done for the next set of infusion. You see the nurse that, as usual, comes in and hands you the Coke and it turns on the TV, and that's it. And for that, they have a lot of expenses, so they need to have that 80% margin. And taking 2% and reducing the margin to 78%, that's no good.
It's a crime.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you want to laugh or cry about this, or both at the same time. It is obscene. And you know that what they prescribe to you have nothing to do with what's good for you. They know you're not going to make it. It's just a matter of time. They just hope you last long enough for them to make a bundle of money. That's all. But you're not going to make it. And they know it. And you're suffering. It just... And this is where we are at. And people, a lot of people know, are aware of this, are aware of what's going on. So why nobody's standing up and starting to scream and said, no, we will not put up with any of this. And on that subject, I like to point out something that is connected, of course, to what they have done to us. But
only about a minute left or so.
Okay. And I said Oklahoma has the Health Freedom Act. Okay? In other states, there are a few other states that have it, and they call Safe Harbor Law for independent healthcare provider or practitioner, whatever. Okay? And you know what the states are? Oklahoma, Idaho, Minnesota, Rhode Island, California, Louisiana, New Mexico, and Arizona. And what I'm telling you is, please work on introducing that law in other states, in your own state. Work on it. There is an organization that does that will help you. Work on introducing that legislation in your state. I mean, even California did it. Come on. California used to have this problem that you can even say not chemo, and they jump on you. So do something. Do something for your own good, for everybody's good. And then, of course, we need to, once all the states have it, then the federal government and FDA have no say in anything.
Speaking of FDA, let's get this out one more time. Dr. Carpenter's got 2 petitions, and we've put up new links now on LaysMedInc.com and on medicalconspiracy.com. They're a little bigger and a little more obvious. So get over there and click the links to the petitions and put your signatures on them. We need them. Okay. And with that, I think we are at the end of the 2 hours, and we're done with this. Okay, so until next week. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Just remember that.
Thank you for listening to The Medical Conspiracy with Dr. Carpenter.